Welcome to Eat, Sleep, Wine, Repeat, a podcast for all you wine lovers who, if you're like me, just cannot get enough of the good stuff. I'm Janina, your host, brand ambassador, wine educator, and sommelier. So stick with me as we dive deeper into this ever-evolving, wonderful world of wine. And wherever you are listening to this, cheers to you.
Hello, wine friends, and welcome back to another episode where today we are heading to the wild, salt-kissed Atlantic edge of Spain into Galicia's Rías Baixas. And we're going to be exploring where vines don't just grow, they negotiate daily with wind, rain, and granite. We are diving deep into the white grape variety Albariño. We're going to be exploring what makes Val de Salnés, so Albariño's spiritual home, so special, how Atlantic weather, those granitic soils, and that almost maritime salinity come together to give Albariño its electric freshness and unmistakable aromatic lift. We are going to dive into the iconic Pergola training system, uncovering its history, how it's ideal for the humidity of the area, and we go inside the winery of Martín Códax to understand how one grape can become many expressions, from the classic style to lees-aged interpretations and sparkling wines, and what decisions shape those stylistic directions while still keeping a strong sense of place. My guest today is Aran Álvarez, winemaker at Martín Códax. She trained in winemaking at the University of Valladolid. She's worked harvests in Lyon, Requena, Saint-Emilion, Napa Valley, and even spent time in Belgium as a sommelier before returning home to Galicia, and has been making Albariño magic with Martín Códax since 2018. So get ready to understand Albariño in a much deeper way. The Martín Códax flagship Albariño is quite easy to get your hands on, so perhaps grab a bottle, pour a glass whilst listening to this episode, and let's head to the Atlantic. So, lovely Aran, you're in the wine chair. We have both agreed to be incredibly naughty and drink some of this delicious Albariño at 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Well, 11 o'clock for you. And I'm feeling good about it. How are you feeling?
Oh, I love it. Early wine is the wine that tastes the better.
Yes, it does. And there is some science behind our taste buds. So cheers.
Cheers to you.
And I have to say, I'm drinking your Albariño, which is the flagship. And this is actually just bringing back beautiful memories from when I came to visit you. Around possibly 10 a.m., maybe 11, yeah. We were drinking this exact wine out on a boat, eating freshly steamed mussels from the Rías, and I have to say it was one of the most incredible experiences, and I tell people about it all the time, because not only were these mussels just freshly steamed, but there was no salt.
Nope.
There was no lemon on them, which I would never eat mussels just with nothing, but because it was paired with this Albariño, the Albariño added the salt and it added the citrus, and it was insane.
Yeah, it's a really good pairing. Natural things, natural products from the area, and it's like easy pairing. They get along so well.
It really is something. Food and wine when you get it right, but also everyone listening, I mean, if you have not gone to Rías Baixas, my God, it is not like you would ever imagine Spain with the green landscapes, and it's the deep-rooted culture, the fit food. We'll get onto that. Yeah. Let's, right. Okay. Behave, Janina, behave. I've got you here. I can question you. Let's start by talking about Val de Salnés, which is often called the spiritual home of Albariño. So what is it about this Atlantic influenced region and its soils and climate that just gives the grape its unmistakable freshness and its salinity, as I've just mentioned, and all of its aromatic intensity? Go whilst I sip away on it.
All right. When I get in context, we are in northwest of Spain, just right above Portugal. Val de Salnés is one of the 5 different subzones in our denomination of origin, Rías Baixas. So this area is like the birthplace of the Albariño. It's where the grape thrives. Val de Salnés is in the heart of the Ria da Arousa. It's right behind me. The unique characteristic we have here is the imprinted in our Albariños, the terroir, the combination of the climate, the soils. Vineyard characteristic is what make our wines unique and different from any other Albariños. Also, the proximity to the Atlantic Ocean, our climate also, we have a lot of high rainfalls, and the moderate temperatures, granitic and rich in organic soils, that creates the perfect condition to get this unique kind of Albariños.
Now, you say rainfall, and it is true.
Yeah, it
As I
is.
said to everyone, this is very green, the landscape, and it's just not what you think of. People think of Spain and super hot. How much rainfall are you getting? Because actually, there's less probably rainfall now as climate is changing. Or
It's like less stable,
yeah,
let's say it that way. Because like this year, 2026, it rained for at least 7 weeks in a row. Like we completely forget about the sun.
wow.
Raining no stop, and we just got sunny a few days ago. But it rains a lot of humidity also. The good thing is this area is windy.
Yes.
So by being windy, the clusters, the grape can dry out.
And actually, that's probably, we can get on to how you trellis the grapes to deal with the climate as well. So I loved when I came to you, and obviously I always say, yeah, these are grown in the pergola. So
Yep.
obviously at height with the grapes hanging down, but you actually call this emparrado.
Emparrado or
Don't
parra.
you? So why? Actually, I'm so confused. Why does it have this special name? What does para or emparrado mean?
Well, as I said, it rains a lot here. And yeah, we are surrounded by not a lot of mountain range, but just a few. Also islands that creates a natural barrier from the strong Atlantic currents. So we have a microclimate here. And again, this kind of constant wind that maybe you can hear sometimes, because like the windows are moving around.
Good. We get everyone listening gets to feel. There you go. The howl.
Actually, it's too windy today.
May it continue to howl. So everybody listening, grab yourself a glass of Martín Códax Albariño and then listen really hard to the background noise.
Yeah.
And you can almost be there. Okay,
You
perfect.
can almost
Thank you for the
smell
sound
it.
effects.
But we, as you said, we use the horizontal pergola that we call parra or emparrado. This way of conducting the vine lifts the canopy high above the ground. So that way it improves the airflow. It reduces the fungal pressure and the humidity that is created by this climate, and also allows the sunlight to filter. It's actually century-old solution to the Atlantic conditions, and it works way better than any other modern system because it respects the environmental that we grow in. Also, by using this method, it allows us to mitigate the use of phytosanitary products in the vineyard, and also it's really good for the wineries' main objectives, that is the sustainability and the reduction of our carbon emissions.
And that is pretty much because of airflow, because the grapes are hanging down, right? The wind can get there. So you said, yes,
It's separate
less
from
issues
the
with
humidity of the soil.
Mhm.
And also we can get a long time ago, even in some places today, in some vineyards, underneath the canopy, underneath the vineyard, some wine growers also plant any other like vegetables and stuff. So we use like the soil and also the altitude for the grapes.
And actually, having come and helped with harvest, and when I say helped, I mean
Yeah,
I cut a few bunches off.
you did. I was there. I saw you.
And they were the best bunches, I'm sure. But actually, it is a lot easier. Well, it certainly was for me to be able to reach up and cut with the secateurs rather than bend down and try and, a lot when we think about vertical shoot positioning and when things are trellised in what most people see as a normal vineyard in their mind. Because of where the grapes are, they're at a level maybe waist height. That's what, you're always having to stoop a little bit or squat or whatever. And realistically, I understand if you are reaching up and your hands are constantly cutting, well, now you are having to build up some shoulder muscles. So it is a different type of pain, but at the same time, I feel like in terms of the body, it's a little bit more comfortable to be able to just chop above your head.
Well, yeah, and it's also the size of the height of the vine grower, the owner.
Actually, this is so fascinating. I remember you telling me about this. Because some of the vineyards in the past are kind of a lot smaller, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk to me
Yeah,
about
people
this.
used to be smaller a long time ago, but now I'm a very tall person. I'm tall. So in some vineyards, when I used to go like harvesting, some parras, the horizontal pergola, were perfect for me. So I was like just cutting. I didn't have to stretch too much. But some others, I was like having to bend and cutting. It just depends on the height of the owner.
And actually, this is a region as well that was actually the grapes and the vineyards were taken care of typically by women, right? Because in the past, the
Yeah,
men would go to
to the sea.
sea. And so, yeah. And so hence as well, if you've got people were smaller in the past and the women were the ones doing it, I can imagine there must be some vineyards that are actually that you do have to stoop. So yes, if you're a tall person, maybe this isn't ideal.
Yeah, you have to decide where to go harvesting or where not to go.
I just got the howl of the wind. Thank you for that. That was
Yeah,
perfect. That just came through. So actually, hang on, because I do this. Everyone listening, you know the drill. I go all over the place, back and forth. But let's get back to Val de Salnés for a second, because actually, you said this is one of the 5 subregions. This is also typically because of being so close to the coast. This is what for me. I always say this is actually the Albariño that is going to give you the most salinity. Would you add more to that? Is there more that you should be looking out from your Albariños because they are planted in Val de Salnés?
Well, the good thing about being so close to the ocean, like this coastal area, it always tends to be more saline, more vertical, aromatic. The minerality is usually higher, and that's very much defined by the proximity to the ocean. We also plant Albariño more inland, still very close to the ocean, but more inland, and that shows like more ripened fruit character, different textures. But here is where we get all the freshness, the energy from this area. Like our Martín Códax, our flagship, is the perfect example for that because it has the bright, the acidity, the freshness of the Albariño from the Salnés Valley. And for me, it truly reflects the landscape and the proximity to the Atlantic Ocean.
I'm smelling it now. And for me, though, it's the intensity of, it's not like even a freshly squeezed lemon. I get the freshness, but I also get like this kind of almost lemon curd. There's even like a lemon posset note, but without the sweetness, but it's that intensity.
Freshness.
The fruit. Yeah. I always get some, like I get white flowers in it as well. It reminds me of spring. And then obviously you have that gorgeous sea spray, but this is such a classic. This has pure Tepisti when I think of Albariño. I think if anybody wanted to explore, you guys do it so well. And at the same time as well, it's at a price point that really, if you want a really delicious glass of white wine, but I just love the brightness. Actually, did you say energy or have I just...
Yep.
Did you say energy? Oh,
like
stolen
crispy.
it.
It's very vibrant and the energy in the wine.
Mm-hmm.
It's very long. It's just very expressive in the nose, but also in the mouth. It's very well structured. That freshness from the area, but having this a lot of rainfalls that also keeps this natural freshness. Because otherwise, if it was like very sunny, the acidity will drop naturally in the grapes. But this is a consequence of our weather, which is lovely.
And actually, I suppose we should touch on reference because I did ask and then I distracted you. So this is my fault. In terms of actual rainfall, the way I've always I generally personally say there's about average 1,800 millimeters. I know it can be more. It can be less. Would you say I'm actually correct?
Yeah.
Or do you you're allowed to tell?
I'm not, I don't really have the number, like how much, but I mean, everything is so green here. That means it rains a lot. So everyone's like, Galicia is so beautiful. Like Val de Salnés, Salnés Valley is beautiful. Oh, you're so lucky to live here. We are lucky, but like in London, you need to get used to the rain because it does rain.
Well, it's interesting because as an English person, we in Britain really, our whole identity is to moan about the weather.
Yeah.
To complain about the weather, to talk about the weather. That's what we do. That's how we start a conversation. And we moan about how much it rains in England. In London and in Kent, where we grow grapes, as we were talking about before pressing the record button, 700 millimeters of rain a year.
Wow.
Is often what we have. It's just because it's grey and pathetic and it drizzles. We just have drizzle. So we just are programmed into thinking it rains. It's like, no, guys, go over to Rías Baixas and then you'll see how it rains. But the difference is you don't have the same cloud cover
No,
as us.
it's not
and
as
so
foggy.
you see you see the sunshine, and that is again what you need for that real, because yes, you've got the rain, but you still do need enough sunshine, which you're
Yeah.
able to get. Yeah. Is it granitic soils throughout the whole of Rías Baixas, or more specifically in Val de Salnés?
Here, yeah. In Rías Baixas is mainly granitic soils. Here we have 100%, and they're very sandy, shallow, well drained. We need that because of the rain, because we need the soil to absorb the water, but also to drain it, because we don't want it to be floated. And it's very rich in organic matter. So that is very good to limit the vigor and control the fruit that we can feel in the nose. Also, at the same time, the Atlantic humidity and these cooling breezes is what prevent this over ripening, because we wanted to have this young, fresh character. So we'll have a wine like very vibrant, the acidity, also this salinity sensation, very lifty, aromatic, like citrus, the white flowers you said, and some stone fruit.
Yeah, and actually, I have to say, so this has also got a slight fleshiness,
Yeah.
that peachiness on the palate,
Mhm.
and there is mouthfeel. This is not super light and thin, or no, it actually has some mouthfeel. But this is the conversation. You are the winemaker that we can go on and talk about, which is very often Albariño can be aged on the lees, and I happen to have one. Yay! And it is called Lías, which is what you would translate to lees. So talk to me about, I guess, Martín Códax, one thing that really surprised me when I came to see you guys, the amount of experimentation with Albariño. It is not just this bright, clean style.
Mhm.
Let's compare for now the Lías. So actually, for everybody wondering, I am drinking the 2024 of the flagship Albariño. And now I'm going to open up the 2022 Lías. So talk to me about the difference in winemaking styles for these two wines.
Okay, the first difference starts in the vineyard. So
Yeah.
for Martín Códax, our flagship, what we do is with drones, we monitor the different plots throughout the cycle, allowing us, to decide where the grapes kind of want to the wines they're going to be. But for Martín Códax, we monitor by different how vigorous the vineyard is.
Okay.
And we divide it in 3 different colors, like red, green, and blue. For us, those colors are translating to more acidity, more balanced profile, and more ripened profile. So for Martín Códax, we select always the balanced and the fresh one to make the wine. We do alcoholic fermentation in stainless steel tanks, and depending on the year, the malolactic fermentation changes. The malolactic fermentation is the second fermentation that changes the malic acid to lactic acid. That is, the malic acid is the acidity that you will feel in the green apple, fresh green apple. And we, by the second fermentation, turn that acidity into a more like tamed one. More like,
I always say it's dairy,
Yeah,
creamy,
more
creamy.
like
acidity.
apple pie will be. So
Oh, yeah. I never. Thank you for that.
Oh, yeah.
Stealing it. It's a good description.
So through the years, the percentage of the alcoholic fermentation changes. 3 years ago, we did 20%, for example. Last year, it was 16% of malolactic fermentation. But last summer, the 2025 summer, it was very hot. So the acidity naturally dropped. And the malolactic fermentation was 5-6%. So for Martín Códax, it's a fermentation, stainless steel tank. We let it rest for a few months in the tank, and then we bottle. We want that freshness to be very clear. On the other side, Lías, Martín Códax on its lees, is selected plots. Also, the wine starts in the vineyard here. What we do first is we take some of the leaves out of the plant. So that way we have a really nice sun exposure. So now the plants want to work for us. What I mean is the plant to protect from the sun exposure. What it does, it gets the skin thicker.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where the tannins are, because we play always with natural stuff. We make the plant have the natural tannins increase. So once we got the grapes into the winery, we cool them down because we want to extract all the aroma compounds from the skins. We do a gentle press, and then we do the alcoholic fermentation, and then we select the finest lees by tasting, and we do the batonnage on these tanks. The batonnage, we don't do pump over, because if you have oxygen in contact with white wines, instead of being this crispy, bright, nice color, it's gonna go darker. So we do the batonnage with nitrogen, argon, noble gases.
Okay.
And we do the batonnage for 6-7 months. We always stop it by tasting. Because if you leave the lees for too long in the tank, you're gonna get a bitter taste after.
So how do you know that it's too long or not long enough? Because for me, I always thought that lees as well, that for everyone listening, the dead yeast cells in the wine, doesn't sound as attractive though, does it? They act as a preservative, actually keeping the wine fresh. And I assumed that, I don't know, if a winery wanted to keep a wine on the lees for 2 years, sure, no problem. It will just get richer and creamier and take on more of those characters. I didn't know that there was ever a time when you were like, oh, this is actually going to make the wine worse.
It's not going to make the wine worse. It's going to make it different.
Okay.
And we always want to have wines that it's very obvious that it's Albariño. And it's from the Salnés Valley. So we want it to be the main character in every wine.
Am I thinking then, because Albariño is actually such a beautifully aromatic grape variety, by leaving it on the lees for too long, it goes savory so that it feels more, the bitterness comes out.
Yeah, a little bit in the mouth. If we are too picky, we want it always to have perfect. So like this time of the year, we taste the tanks every week. That's the fun part. So we decide when to stop it to be perfect, because after this, we rack the wine into a different tank and we let it rest for 12 more months before bottling, and then another 6 months into the bottle. So we wanted the wine always to be young, fresh, crispy. And in this case, with Martín Códax Lías, we want that creaminess, the buttery feeling, but we don't want a bit bitter end.
No, super, super clean. I have a question though, technical. I've got to know. So we're talking about batonnage. So for anyone again who's saying, what is batonnage? This is the stirring of the lees. So instead of letting the lees fall to the bottom of the tank and give some influence, we're actually moving them so they are actually going to integrate with the wine so much more. You've got this closed tank because you don't want any oxygen to impact the flavour. So how are you, because I've spoken to other wineries, it's really interesting the techniques that people are using. I know you said argon gas. Are you actually using a gas to move it by pumping things right? Is that what you're doing?
So the tank has to be 100% full. Okay. Because, the oxygen is our first enemy.
Worst enemy.
Yeah.
In this regard.
Yeah, in this regard. So what we do is we do a nice and gentle pump of the lees, but from the bottom of the tank. So we get them in movement. That way we're gonna extract that structure in the mouth, and also that buttery bakery feeling in the nose, in the mouth. So it's very different profile than the Martín Códax. This gentle, rough feeling in the mouth, that's natural tannins. That's what makes the wine so long after you've swallowed it.
I don't even want to say the fact that it smells and tastes a little bit like apple pie.
Yeah.
And now I know that I've you've literally put this into my mind, I think, from explaining as well when a wine goes through more or full malolactic fermentation, but actually I can't get it out of my head.
Well, it changes,
right? But do you know what? I get this freshness of fruit. I'm just the image that I'm getting is just, again, this is a summer's day, whereas the other one, right, was spring. You're walking through all of the blossoms. It feels really alive. This is summer. You're waking up and you've got one of those really nice spreads of freshly baked bread. You've got croissants. You've got maybe some yummy brioche and loads of fresh fruit all in front of you. This is the image that I get from drinking this wine, which I think is possibly better than telling everybody exactly that I'm getting a little bit of apple pie, a little bit of pear note, a little bit of a little vanilla, whatever. But this is your best Saturday in summer with one of those amazing spreads for breakfast. That's what this wine is.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, well, it's not as beautiful as me drinking it, so I'll continue. Anybody who wants to taste, so the Lías is a very different expression because there is more weight. Whereas the other one was much fresher. You've still got the gorgeous acidity here, but there's much more mouth feel, and you said a little bit of texture. This is actually quite easy to get hold of if you want to try. And this is a lovely way to see Albariño actually tasting the two together and still tasting the grape and the actual structure of its acidity and its like salinity. But I have to say the salinity comes out a lot less for me with the Lías, very much more in the background because it's much more about this kind of texture and ripeness, I find. Whereas if you want something classic, then the flagship Albariño, I think, really screams and just shouts the area a little bit more for me. I don't know if that's potentially personal, but I'm very much enjoying the Lías.
Yeah, and it shows how versatile the variety is, that you can play with it, making different styles, not only in the winemaking part, but also working from the vineyard. That's very important, and adapting, obviously, to every harvest, weather condition. So, yeah, two different profiles from the same area, same variety.
Well, now this is interesting. When the hell did Martín Códax go from making lovely, fresh Albariño to obviously, and as we know, putting it on the lees, but then going, hey, let's make it into a sparkling. Let's make it stay on its skins for longer. Let's make an orange wine. Who then decided to make a dry Albariño from grapes that have been affected by Botrytis cinerea, so noble rot? How did all these winemaking decisions become with Albariño?
Actually, I think we're a bit crazy. Because we
the best people always are.
Yeah, we never know when to stop. That's the thing. It's like, okay, we have a really good variety with huge potential. It's like we make a really nice still wine. Hey, no, why not a sparkling? Why not making fermentation with the skins, playing with different woods? We never know when to stop. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
No, it's a good thing. Continue.
Yeah. So, and we know how we want to know how we can extend the variety, like how many different wines we can make with it, still being a good wine, very different. And also, it's not. I mean, you need to make sure you can make the same wine every year, no matter what the weather conditions or harvest conditions are. You need to be in control of the process always. So that's also something hard to deal with, because I can make a really nice profile this year and maybe next year I can't. So we need to be like, okay, we need to adapt the vineyard, the winemaking technique to get to this profile every year. So yeah, it's always challenging for us, and we challenge ourselves to make different wines and profiles. And as a good example is the sparkling.
Well, okay. Okay, fine. Let me open up this. Okay, so right now in front of me, I have the sparkling wine. This is not a vintage, is it?
On that one, no. I think you have the 2020.
Oh, it is a vintage?
No, but I know what I sent you.
So it's a 2020. So question, is it always actually a single year, but because of your production and winemaking skills, you obviously have the house style, so it's irrelevant what the vintage is? Or are you blending in a little bit of other years?
No, we don't blend. It's a single year, but it's not on the label.
Okay.
So the only difference might be the months we have it on the lees, but the profile you're going to find is going to be continuous for the previous vintage.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is a vintage, non-vintage, everybody.
Non-vintage.
So you gotta get the winemaker on, then you get to find out. So interesting, 2020 vintage. Talk to me about, why did you decide to make a sparkling wine from Albariño?
Well, it's always trying. You need to try, and as I said, it has very high potential, this variety. So we started making it. The thing is, this is the first grapes we harvest, the ones for the sparkling.
Yes. What color would that be in the vineyards?
Well, this is, we just decide we need grapes with high acidity and low alcohol percentage. I mean, lower than the average. Because during the second fermentation in the bottle, the alcohol increases 1.5. So we need the acidity to go through the fermentations, and then we need low alcohol because it's going to increase But we start first to make this wine, depending on the year, but like the end of August.
Gosh, that is so that's really that is really early. So if you're making the sparkling towards the end of August, when are you picking the grapes for the flagship wine, or in general the main part of harvest? Actually, I do know this because I was here, but I was there last year. But I'm going to ask you to let us know because of the listeners.
All right, we have like in one harvest we have 4 harvests. So we have the first one that is at the end of August. That's for the sparkling. Maybe some years we have to wait a week, 2 weeks or so to have the regular grapes ripen enough. That's for our flagship and any other wines. When we finish 2 weeks, 3 weeks after that, we harvest for a wine that goes through a second verizon.
Okay, yeah.
So we need to wait until that happens. And once we think everything is finished, all the grapes are harvested, we can go to normal sleeping schedule again. It's like, hey, you still have the late vintage. And that's usually a month, 3-4 weeks after we finish the harvest. So we started end of August and we finish by November.
Incredible. Well, we're going to talk about some of those other wines in a second. But right now, hang on, everybody, for your pleasure only. Whey!
Nice.
Oh, and I lost a little bit, and now my desk is wet. No worries, that's fine. I can handle this.
That means good luck in Spain, you know that?
Does it actually?
Yeah, it does.
Well, now hang on a minute. How much luck do you get if you completely lose half the bottle? Does that mean loads of luck? You just need a little dribble, and then that's the luck, right?
Just a little bit, not the whole bottle.
So, when was the first sparkling wine from your Albariño released?
Good question.
And it deserves an answer, doesn't
it? We started over 10, 15 years ago, over that.
Yeah, that'll do. So a while. This is not brand new.
It's not. And each year we learn more things about this wine.
But what's been your biggest learnings then from, because Albariño, first of all, I'd love to know 2 things. What's your biggest learnings from making a sparkling Albariño? And for me, of course, it's got high acidity as a grape variety in general. That lends itself to be made into a sparkling. But is there anything else that Albariño as a grape has and gives that makes it so good for sparkling? There you go. 2 questions to answer.
First, the fresh and natural acidity, this freshness that allows us to, like the winemaking process for the sparkling takes over almost 3 years. So you need a wine very young with freshness, acidity to, once you finish all this winemaking process, the wine still needs to be fresh. You know what I mean? The acidity needs to be there because that's our soul.
Yep.
So always we need to understand the harvest, the climate, to harvest in the perfect timing. Not too early, not too late. That's one thing. And then there is aging on the lees in this wine. And it's also decided by tasting. So every time we need to taste to be like, again, we wanted the perfect balance. So we want the bubbles well integrated. We want this fine bubbling to be perfect. So here, what we do in our sparkling, we use the traditional method. So that's how we reveal the grape's full expressive potential. We begin with the early harvest. We preserve this natural acidity and the freshness. We do a second fermentation that takes place slowly inside the bottle under precise temperature control. And that allows the bubbles to form naturally and to integrate delicately into the wine. We do this fine lees aging inside the bottle for 38 months, which is a long maturation.
I was just about to add that. Yeah, that's a long time.
It is. But we get here very complexity, texture, and the bubbles are very fine and integrated. So the result is a brut, sparkling Albariño that is very vibrant, depth, and is very different from the flagship and the Martín Códax on its list. It's sophisticated and versatile for me.
100%. I mean, for me, it actually, because of that extra time on the lees, you've still got freshness. You get this kind of crunchy green apples in the And there is like and the freshness of lemon. So you get citrus, you get green notes. But actually what I really like about it is that you get this kind of herbs are coming out from, actually, again, I feel like you're going through some kind of scrubland. It's very much in the background. I wouldn't say it's necessarily defined. Like, I'm not going to say there's thyme in there or rosemary, but there's this greenness. I mean, actually, even like because the salinity comes through, I mean, maybe it's a little hint of like samphire. It's this kind of so for anyone who's cooking with white fish, if you actually use that samphire, it has that greenness and it has that saltiness. I actually want to kind of say that. And then the breadiness, but it's a much more soft, savory edge. I want to say like, for me, it's like a scone.
Yeah.
It's not like toast where it's intense. It's not like brioche where it's sweet. It's a more savory, bready nature. So attractive, and actually it is unique because of for me the minerality, and not like we talk about minerality in champagne. That could be quite chalky. This still is salty for me.
Yeah, I mean the grapes come from the valley, so that saltiness is brought into the character of the wine. Also, these 38 months with the lees in the bottle makes the wine well structured, long. And when you take a sip, the bubbles are very gentle, not too aggressive. It's not like an explosion in your mouth. It's not like that.
No. Super, super delicate. This is such a well-made wine for anybody who wants to try this. And 38 months on the lees. So again, the wine in contact with the dead yeast cells inside the bottle before it's disgorged and the lees is removed. I mean, which is just incredible. You can really try Albariño in such different expression. Oh, I'm really enjoying this. Nice. This sparkling. This sparkling at 11 o'clock in the morning. Yes, please. Love it. Okay. Oh, yes. So talk to me about the other wines, because hang on. Wait. No. What was the biggest thing that you learned about for you that you've adapted for the sparkling?
Always the timing is very important. The timing.
Okay.
You need to be patient.
Oh, that's it.
Because that's the key. You need to be patient.
It is really fantastic how I think Albariño, there are certain grape varieties that really do love the integration of lees. And quite clearly, Albariño is that grape variety. Hence, you often find Albariño still on the lees, and now quite clearly the sparkling, is there a reason for that? Is there a reason that as a grape variety, it just, I don't know, absorbs lees flavors better? Is there any science? Is there anything that you know of about that? Because I don't. Just it is.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of different factors. The variety you can play along with it, but you have to be very careful because it's fragile and versatile at the same time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because if you want to have this like fine, clean nose, this nice lemon, you need to be very careful. And if you want to have this nice fillet of the lees in the mouth, or this well-integrated bubbles in the sparkling, you need time.
Okay. Patience and
time.
Sensitivity. Oh, well, patience and sensitivity,
Yeah.
What about the orange wines you make? I mean, and botrytis. So, I mean, why, when did someone say, oh, these Albariño grapes have been affected by noble rot, so the good kind of fungus, everyone.
Yeah.
They've shriveled up. In any other place in the world, we would make it into a sweet wine, but no, let's make it into the most fantastic still wine. Who came up with that? How did that happen?
Again, looks like we're bored because we're always excited, but we work a lot. Trust me, we're not bored, but it's like a constant challenging ourselves. Like, hey, why don't we try this? We have early harvest for the sparkling, and why don't we try late harvest? I mean, it's very hard here to do a late harvest because you need specific conditions.
Yeah.
That they are not perfect every year. So we need the humidity so that this fungal develops, the botrytis.
Yeah.
It needs to be enough humidity, enough rain. It needs to be windy because we don't want the good fungus to turn into the bad one.
Yep.
And also needs to be sunny. Sun is like everything, but at the same time, but we need everything. Good conditions.
Precisely. Because again, all the famous regions that make sweet wines are from noble rot, and for it not to turn into grey rot, you have to have that kind of humidity in the morning and then typically the sunshine in the afternoon to dry up all the
Right.
bad stuff and make it delicious, that in simple terms. So yes, you're not going to get that every year, but you must be taking a risk because you don't know what the conditions are going to be like in October going to November. So it's just a case of, okay, let's leave this fruit. It's been a great year, this lovely ripeness. Let's cross our fingers and hope that
Right.
we get enough sunshine. That's literally it.
Yeah.
Wow.
We
Okay.
finish harvest and then we leave some selected pots with grapes just to have this late harvest wine. We want the botrytis to develop, but it's in this case, it's out of our hands. There is nothing we can do. We just have to wait to pray and be like, please let it happen. So it's the bad thing is a wine we cannot make every year. We
Yeah.
started in 1985 and we've only been able to make it 11 times.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because it has to be perfect. I mean, we are not going to make it if it's not going to be perfect Albariño, like late harvest wine. So it's a risk you take that probably that defines how crazy we are. Because it's like, let's give it a try. And it's for me, it's very hard to make because it's very hard to understand. Once the aging is taking place in the stainless steel tank, it's very hard to understand the wine. So it's very challenging.
So what are you, once you've actually, though, gone through the fermentation, what are you after? Because from me, my memory, and this is called I'm just looking up the name, the Gallaecia. How would you pronounce this? Gallaecia. There we go. It is this honeyed nature. It's curious because you get this orange peel, you get that slight marmalade spiced honeyed edge that you would normally get into a sweet, but you have it as a dry, and the texture, it's very curious because obviously nose is different to palate because you expect it to be sweeter. It smells like it's going to be sweeter. That is my memory of the wine, which was just it, but it was superb, and I hadn't actually had a wine quite like that. So for you, what are you actually trying to get? And two, why not just make it into a sweet?
Well, the profile we were looking was this kind of wine, like tricky, because it's, as you said, you smell it on the nose, you will expect it to be sweet.
Yeah,
but it's just how complex it is in the nose, because you have this, for me, dry figs. For me, it smells like Christmas. Here we have dry figs, dry apricot, this orange marmalade. Everything is on the mouth, on the nose. But again, then you try it, and it's the acidity from the Albariño from our valley is there, and it's not sweet.
Yeah,
So it's a tricky wine.
Mm-hmm.
We can make it sweet probably, but the thing is when you have to be careful because acidity and sweetness, they don't always combine together very good.
Okay.
That time that sometimes sweetness can be bitter. When you have too much sugar, it can be bitter.
Really?
Yeah. And if you combine that with acidity, it's like chaos. So we need to find the perfect balance always. Because it's not like drinking the wine today. It's like needs to be perfect in like 2, 3, 5 years.
Interesting.
But I think we found the perfect balance, and being tricky, like sweet on the nose but dry in the mouth. I think that's what it makes it so special, so unique.
Okay. I mean, it is so special. It is so unique. I think there have been moments when this has been available in the UK, but I think currently this is, you got to go to the winery, got to go to Spain to taste this, which is not a horrible thing to have to do. What's about the orange wine? I mean, why is this? Because, when you said for the Lías wine, you were taking away some of the leaves, so you would therefore have the grape skins becoming thicker. You wanted that, so it would obviously work as like a richer style of wine. From there, did you realize, okay, here we are, we've got we've got more phenolics now because of thicker skins. Let's age it on the skins and make an orange wine?
Yeah, that's craziness again. We try to make a white wine, like a red wine is made.
Yeah.
We leave the skins inside. But again, this started in the vineyard we were like, okay, let's take more leaves out. And we want more tannins, the anthocyanins, that are the color compounds that are on the skins. We want those. We want natural tannins and anthocyanins. So we love those thick skins for this wine. So what we do is we de-steam. We don't want that green veggie feeling in the mouth or in the nose. We de-steam, and then we wrap the grapes, the skins, to an empty tank.
Yeah.
And here we treat it like it's a red wine. So we do the batonnage of the must and the skin because we want it to be one whole thing, you know? We want to be the same. Like if you take a sample from the top or from the bottom or from the center of the tank, it needs to be the same. So we do bump overs a few times a week. And it's a wine that you never know how it's going to turn out, you know?
Yeah.
Because it needs time. So we do the batonnage with the skins. We do alcoholic fermentation. And here we do 100% of malolactic fermentation. And then we let it age with the skins for 6-7 months. We stop it again by tasting. So now that we only do pressing during harvest time, now in the spring, like probably next month, we're going to do the pressing of the orange wine. And it's so much fun because if you still have whole grapes, unbreakable, like the ones that didn't break during the process, you take one in the mouth that is like a explosion of the wine, the skins, the grape. It is really different. And then once we do the pressing, we do the final aging in concrete tanks.
Interesting. How does that?
That's how you get it. It's a dry wine, very different. The color, because it's, as the name says, orange, is because we extract all the color compounds from the skin. There is no oxidation during the process, no oxygen.
Yeah.
Because some oranges have really high volatile acidity. Not here. The color is natural, it's extracted from the skins. And this final aging gives that nice and elegant roughness in the mouth. So for people who does not like orange wines, I suggest you to try this one because it's...
Yeah, I'm looking at my notes. I realize I have my notes from all the wines I've tasted, and I love that it was quite really vibrant, but actually quite spicy, but loved the vibrancy still. And the palate, I did say, actually is still very light with very soft tannins, but you do get like imagine toasted orange skins and a little bit of gingery. So you get that because it's an orange wine, but actually really soft tannins I highlighted. So yeah, fascinating that, yet again, Albariño knows what it's doing in all different styles. So I mean, if somebody was saying like Albariño, they're used to drinking the flagship, they're used to having a young Albariño, it's a 2024, and they think it's only for immediate drinking. I mean, how much can Albariño age? Because already from what I'm tasting, I know that it could be worth holding back these bottles.
Yeah.
What's your advice or thoughts on Albariño as an age-worthy grape?
Always talking that the wine had been in storage in the proper conditions.
Of course.
So yeah, I get that a lot of people associate Albariño with youthful freshness, but I think we crafted different feelings, like evolve beautiful over time. Like our Martín Códax Lías is the perfect example for that because you are tasting now a 2022 wine that is still very young, very fresh. So I think it's not that the wine is going to lose the freshness, is you have to drink it over time. It's so young and the acidity is what preserves the wine naturally.
Yeah.
That allows it to go well, stay well, fresh, young during time.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. What I want to ask you, just in terms of, we talk about Albariño's identity being about the acidity, as climate chaos is a thing and the rains come in different patterns and warming temperatures, what do you think you might need to do? I was really impressed when I came to see you with all the experimentation in the vineyards. It's fascinating to see that even though it's been decades of history to train the vines in the pergola method, or as you would say, emparrado, but you've actually tried vertical shoot positioning. You've done Scott Henry, you've done double row planting, looking to see how you could do shading in different ways or how to train the vines in a different way. Certainly it seemed that the conclusion was actually right now pergola is the right way to do it, and it's still, even with the change of temperatures, it works so well for
It is, yeah.
Albariño. But is there anything from your perspective that you need to start paying attention to or experimenting more, because potentially the acidity might be slightly lower in warmer years? Have you, as you and the enology team, discussed that or seen any changes? Or
I mean, we are like big, good enology team, but we also have very strong viticulture team. We don't work or we don't look at the vineyard only during harvest time. We are the whole year working on it, taking very good care. So what we do is we always like work in advance. Like we always have numbers, data, because we have a really good RDI programs that we actually research
yeah,
because of this climate change. And we want to protect the Albariño character, the acidity. So we have projects like VTLI 24 that it's focused on developing resistant vine clones. We have any other project that is called Regavid that optimize irrigation through sensors, weather data.
interesting.
Another project is Big Predidata that uses technology to prevent damage from the extreme weather diseases. So this kind of initiatives allows us to adapt to the climate variability,
Yeah.
while also preserving the signature that almost flavors the quality of the Albariño, and always ensuring that our wines will continue to express the sense of the Salnés Valley to our Albariño. So it's always working in advance. We need again information of, okay, if it's gonna rain a lot, if not gonna rain a lot, what will we do? We need to protect what it's our essence, our soul.
Interesting that you've got absolutely, and lovely that you're doing. Well, it all starts in the vineyard, and I think you pointed that out.
It
You
does.
do a beautiful job in the winery, but if you don't have good grapes, it's quite hard to work without the best material. So it's amazing. And I suppose actually let's conclude this episode with the fact that actually Martín Códax, we've talked about the future, what you're doing in terms of making sure you can ensure that Albariño stays as it should be with its acidity. But every single bottle has the beautiful iconic labels. You've got this really incredible cooperative model. You've been working with them for 40 odd years. And of course, the Cantiga score that's on the label, it's all about the history, the wine's identity, as I said, the deep-rooted culture. So just actually to conclude, somehow you have to sum this up. Here we go. What does it mean to you and everyone at Martín Códax, the culture, the wine growers, the community? Because that also is just something that's quite nice when you drink a bottle of Martín Códax.
Yeah. So Martín Códax, the winery, was founded by 50 wine growers. But nowadays, it's like over 500 families. So we work with families. We're promoting social environment, promoting employment in rural areas, encourage, we want shifts under generations. So also some of the wine growers is the third generation in the family. So when the winery was born in 1985, many of those few members at the beginning were graduated in different arts, like such literature. And that is why they were looking for a name that would make our tradition and custom and culture stand out. And it was then when they came up with the idea and the name of Martín Códax, because that's a good representation of their values.
Yeah.
Martín Códax was the most famous Galician and Portuguese troubadour who lived in Vigo in the mid-13th century, and who sang poems known as cantigas, are the oldest of all Galician and Portuguese poetry preserved nowadays. In these cantigas, in the songs, he expressed all his passion and love for our land and our sea. So I think that represents what they wanted to represent at the beginning. Each bottle is the homage. I don't know. Well, in the bottle, you can see the typography of the name, Martín Códax.
Yeah.
That's the troubadour's own signature as preserved. And one of his cantigas, the poems, is written on the label. Also, the music notes are on the cork. So the whole bottle is like a homage of the troubadour and our origins.
Yep, I've got it. I've got it on my cork from the sparkling wine there. It's stunning. And all I would say to everybody as we conclude, and you and I, we go off drinking the bottles that we've opened,
Sounds good.
Everyone come to the Martín Códax winery, because you have music nights there. Anybody who happens to just be seeing where you are, this a little video of you talking, the beautiful view in the background, which I have to say, as the sunset, it is insane. It's such a beautiful viewpoint. And from the winery, you can actually see the coast. You can see the mussel farms, which is something for me that is just unforgettable. Actually, you can go and do that as an excursion as well. So it's like loads to do. And apart from just enjoying the rugged beaches as well, a little bit of sunbathing if it's not raining. But yeah, coming to see you guys, there's some being able to sit in that terrace and try so many of these different Albariños, and often you've got some wonderful entertainment, and you can just really absorb the culture. I think, there's nothing better than coming to visit, right?
Right, thank you. That was beautiful.
There you go, I summed it up. I'm coming back, that's why. Love it.
You should come back, yeah.
Thank you, Aran. I appreciate it. I'll come and see you very soon for another glass of Albariño.
Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to the end of today's journey through Val de Salnés and the world of Albariño with Martín Códax. If you've got any thoughts or questions, you'll find my email in the show note, along with the links to the wines we tasted and to Martín Códax itself. Do go and visit them. At the winery, you'll be able to overlook the Ria de Rosa as you taste through the range. It is a really beautiful part of the world. Now, next week, we are shifting from Atlantic spray to something a little softer, pinker, and just as fascinating. We are diving into rosé, but with a twist as we celebrate Great British Rosé Week, running from the 4th to the 10th of May. I'm going to be joined by Archie Patel, who makes her own traditional method sparkling wine in Kent from Pinot Meunier. And we're going to be exploring how rosé is actually built, how blending decisions are made, how style is shaped, and how different regions interpret pink wine in a very different way. And yes, we'll be tasting across styles to compare what great rosé can really mean. And to finish today's episode, here is a wine quote to leave you with, said by Galileo Galilei. Wine is sunlight held together by water. I think that is a rather perfect reflection of Albariño from Rías Baixas, no? If you are enjoying the podcast, do leave a review on Apple Podcasts, a rating on Spotify, or wherever you're listening, and share it with a fellow wine lover. It genuinely makes a huge difference in helping the show grow and reach more people who love wine as much as you do. Have a brilliant week ahead. Stay curious, keep tasting, and keep noticing what is in the glass. Until next week, wine friends, cheers to you.